There was a traffic accident on Highway 285, which caused a significant delay in traffic. Due to the collision between several vehicles, traffic came to a halt. When a cat was spotted at the scene, it added to the confusion for the emergency responders. As the afternoon sunlight filtered through the trees and the usual noises of the highway were interrupted by the screech of tires and loud collision sounds, the orange-striped cat, who lived in the undergrowth near Interstate 285 in Colorado, became alerted. He turned toward the source of noise and saw a scene of a traffic accident, where several vehicles had crashed, causing a traffic congestion with smoke rising from the damaged engines and a smell of burnt rubber. People were exiting their cars, some of them moving erratically, while others remained motionless. Suddenly, the chaos was compounded further by the sound of approaching emergency vehicles with their sirens blaring. The noise was loud and unfamiliar, prompting most animals to flee. However, the cat in question reacted differently. Rather than fleeing from the noise, it approached it. This behavior is unusual, yet not unheard of for cats, as they may sometimes display curiosity even in stressful circumstances. Emerging from its hiding place, the feline walked onto the warm tarmac of the highway and made its way towards the site of the incident. It navigated its agile body between the stationary vehicles, despite the sound of sirens growing louder and the arrival of large red trucks with flashing lights. Upon the arrival of the fire and rescue teams from Southern Metro, they penetrated the veil of smoke and debris using their red vehicles. The feline disappeared amidst the chaotic scene of the incoming ambulances, yet one firefighter caught sight of a feline form. Andrew Becker, having just disembarked from his vehicle, remained focused on his task. When Becker noticed a flash of orange, he briefly followed the cat's line of sight. His expression registered surprise as he realized it was unusual to see a cat running towards an accident scene. However, this thought quickly passed as Becker shook off the unusual sight and returned to the task at hand, dismissing it to the background of his mind. Becker knew there were lives at stake and needed to focus. As emergency responders arrived, they began calling out for potential survivors and requesting assistance. Becker shouted instructions, "Check underneath the vehicles," his voice thick from the smoke-filled atmosphere. He methodically moved through the debris with trained eyes, searching for signs of life, each step calculated to avoid collapsing structures. The scene of the accident was chaotic, overwhelming Becker. Several vehicles had been involved, some of them severely damaged beyond recognition. The constant noise and activity of the scene made it difficult for Becker to focus, but he refused to let this chaos distract him from his duties. He continued searching for survivors, determined to help those in need regardless of the circumstances. Amidst the chaos, Becker heard the approaching sirens and the idling engines of emergency vehicles. His heart was racing, but he kept his composure, essential for his role. As he walked around the damaged cars, he noticed something unusual. Among the debris, a flash of orange caught his eye. He blinked, trying to focus on the source of the color. It was an orange cat, a tabby, perched on a crushed vehicle. Cats are usually not found in such chaotic situations. Most animals flee from such circumstances, but this cat seemed unperturbed by the chaos. It sat there, seemingly unaffected by the commotion around it. Becker observed the cat carefully as it peered through the gap between the debris, its tail swaying from side to side. Intrigued by the animal's behavior, Becker approached with caution. Years of experience had taught him to rely on his instincts, and something about this particular situation seemed significant to him. Moving slowly and mindfully, he avoided the sharp metal edges around him in order to avoid startling the cat. As he drew closer, Becker got a better look at the feline. Its ears were upright and alert. The cat's posture suggested its alertness. Its body was tensed, and its gaze fixed on something Becker could not see. Suddenly, the cat meowed loudly, causing Becker's curiosity to reach its limit. Becker bent down to be at the same level as the cat and peered into the gap the cat was staring at. His breath caught in his throat when he saw a young woman lying unconscious behind the open door, under the airbag. There were no other signs of her presence in the area. Becker called for help, and an officer immediately responded. They rushed to the scene and discovered the unconscious woman, in her mid-20s, possibly in distress. The cat had alerted to her presence, and Becker, distracted, barely noticed it as it jumped away and vanished among the wrecked cars. The officer provided details regarding the victim's status and location via radio communication, and backup units arrived shortly thereafter. Together, they endeavored to provide assistance and guarantee the safety of the individual. Subsequently, paramedics arrived at the scene. Their actions were swift yet deliberate, as they extracted the person from beneath the debris. Their movements exhibited precision and expertise, and Becker took a step back to allow them room for work. However, his thoughts remained concerned. The severity of the incident did not escape him. If it had not been for the anomalous behavior of the cats, the victim could have remained unnoticed for critical minutes or hours. While the medical professionals were stabilizing the woman's condition and preparing her for transfer, Becker conducted a search of the area for an orange-colored tabby cat. Although nothing was immediately visible, he knew that appearances could be deceiving. Based on his years of experience as a firefighter, Becker understood the importance of remaining vigilant. He was aware that assistance could arrive from unexpected sources, and today it appeared that assistance had arrived in the form of a stray cat. Despite the challenging circumstances, the rescue efforts continued with unwavering focus. Medical professionals Sarah Chen and Mike Donovan worked tirelessly to preserve the woman's life, demonstrating their dedication to their profession. Becker recognized that even seemingly minor events can sometimes lead to significant interventions that save lives. We carefully worked to stabilize the newly discovered patient's condition. "Be gentle with her neck, Mike," said Sarah, her voice calm despite the pressure of the situation. "We don't know if her spine is injured, so we must be especially careful." Mike nodded, moving his gloved hands with practiced precision. The extraction process was delicate, made more challenging by the twisted metal around the patient. As we worked, a red tabby cat appeared. It moved with remarkable agility through the chaotic scene, maneuvering between the legs of rescuers and avoiding scattered debris. Several members of the team noticed the cat, but due to the urgent nature of the situation, paid little attention to it. After what seemed like hours but was actually just minutes, we successfully extracted the woman from the vehicle. Throughout the process, she regained consciousness, but her condition remained unstable, her eyes darting wildly. To the sides, Sarah observed the scene of destruction around her. Her breathing was rapid and shallow, a sign of shock and anxiety. "Madam, can you hear me?" she asked, leaning closer to the woman's face. "You are now safe. We are here to help." However, the woman appeared unable to focus on Sarah's words, her eyes darting around and her body shaking uncontrollably. The noise of sirens and cries seemed to add to her distress. Mike and Sarah shared concerned looks. They both understood that such stress could exacerbate the woman's condition. As the paramedics prepared to transfer her onto a stretcher, an unexpected incident occurred. A red tabby cat, which had been observing the scene, suddenly leaped onto the stretcher. Before anyone could react, it settled next to the woman, having an almost instant and remarkable effect on her state. The woman's eyes were fixed on the cat with intense focus. She extended her hand toward the animal, initially with trembling fingers, but then with increasing confidence, to gently stroke the soft fur. This was a repetitive and simple action. It seemed to give Sarah and Mike a sense of confidence, providing them with a foothold in the midst of the chaotic situation. They watched with surprise as Lisa's breathing slowed. The rapid, shallow breathing that had indicated her panic became deeper and more steady. The trembling in her limbs subsided, replaced by a noticeable relaxation of her muscles. "This is not something that happens often," Mike whispered in disbelief, shaking his head. "It seems we have a little furry therapist here." Sarah, as a professional, seized the opportunity. She began asking Lisa simple questions. "What is your name? Do you remember what happened? Do you feel any pain?" To their relief, Lisa responded coherently, her attention divided between answering the questions and the gentle stroking of the cat. "Your name is Lisa," Sarah said, checking Lisa's vitals. Her pulse was normal and her blood pressure stable. "Whatever this cat does, it appears to be effective." While Lisa was being prepared for transport, the cat remained calmly by her side, providing a sense of stability amidst the chaos. Its purring and steady vibrations seemed to have a soothing effect on everyone, not only Lisa, but also the rescuers. "Should we take the cat with us?" Mike asked uncertainly, as they prepared to transfer Lisa onto a stretcher and into the ambulance. Sarah paused, considering the unusual situation and protocol. She looked at Lisa, who was still holding onto the cat's fur, her gaze clear and focused. After considering various options, Sarah decided to take the cat. "Let's bring him," she said, "if it helps her feel more at ease and helps us do our jobs. We would leave it up to the hospital staff to determine what to do when we arrive." As Lisa and her unlikely companion were carefully loaded into the ambulance, Sarah observed the scene. Behind the turmoil, there was a sense of tranquility and unity. During her years as a paramedic, Sarah has seen many unusual incidents, but none quite like the one she witnessed that day. She has never seen an animal play such a significant role in a patient's recovery from shock following an accident. As the ambulance doors closed behind her, Sarah glanced back at Lisa, still unconscious, with the cat curled up by her side, its red fur providing comfort. Sarah realized, amidst the chaos of the incident, there was still room for hope. The ambulance sped towards the hospital, and Sarah reflected on how unexpected healing can come from a small creature like the red tabby. Its presence served as a reminder that, in the midst of tragedy, moments of peace and hope can arise. Later, as the sun set, chaos transformed into a well-coordinated effort to assist those in need. Most victims had been transferred to hospitals, where they received the care required. Sarah appreciated the small acts of kindness and healing that came from unexpected sources. The victims were safely transferred to nearby hospitals. The acrid smell of smoke lingered, mixed with that of rubber and fuel. The persistent cries and sirens gave way to the quiet murmurings of exhausted rescuers completing their tasks. Firefighter Andrew Becker, standing near the command center with slumped shoulders, reflected on the events of the day, the initial chaos, complex rescue operations, and unexpected appearance of an orange tabby cat. As if summoned by the thoughts of the firefighters and paramedics, the cat reappeared, squeezing itself between the legs of those who remained. Becker observed as the feline approached each of the rescuers, rubbing against them and emitting a loud purring sound. "See what this cat is up to," commented Sarah Chun, a paramedic who had earlier attended to a shocked victim taken to the hospital, crouching down to allow the cat to nuzzle its head against her hand. "It's so cute." The cat seemed to be checking whether the people there were all right. Becker nodded, a small smile forming on his lips. The presence of the feline seemed to lighten the mood, offering a sense of normality amidst the aftermath of the tragedy. He noticed how his colleagues, who had previously been serious, began to smile and even laugh as the cat made its rounds of the room. The last ambulance was getting ready to leave, its lights flashing silently as the driver completed the final preparations. The cat, which had avoided all attempts at first aid, approached the vehicle. Surprisingly, instead of sitting as it usually did, the attention of the red tabby seemed to be drawn by something on the ground. Becker, still observing the cat with a mixture of surprise and curiosity, noticed that its behavior had changed. Its ears perked up and its tail began to twitch in sudden interest. Alertness. Following the direction of the cat's gaze, Becker widened his eyes as he noticed what had caught its attention. The area along which the ambulance would travel was littered with debris, including shattered glass from a windshield, some pieces measuring the size of a human palm. Due to darkness and the urgency to clear the scene, these hazardous obstacles had gone unnoticed. Before anyone could react, the cat fled. With remarkable agility, it began to avoid large pieces of glass by throwing them away. The cat, with its paws working quickly and carefully, made way for the ambulance by the side of the road, avoiding any sharp edges. Sarah Chun, pointing to the cat, exclaimed, "Look at that!" Tired rescuers gathered, watching in amazement, as the small feline methodically cleared away dangerous debris. Becker, breaking his silence, said, "Let's help our small friend." Other firefighters and paramedics joined him, carefully collecting larger pieces that the cat had moved aside. Together, the team and the feline cleared a safe route for the ambulance to pass through. The feline sat on the cleared area's edge, wrapping its tail around its paws as if inspecting its work. The ambulance driver watched the scene in disbelief, shaking his head and saying, "I've never seen anything like that in my years as a professional." There was a note of surprise in his voice. "This cat has just prevented a potential tire puncture from occurring." Becker kneeled down next to the cat and gently scratched behind its ears. "You are a true hero," he said, his voice filled with emotion. The cat responded with a loud purr. Sarah approached with a first aid kit, as her medical instincts kicked in. She explained that they needed to check the cat's paws. Perhaps it had gotten hurt on the glass. Becker carefully picked up the cat and held it as Sarah examined its paws. To everyone's relief, the paws were uninjured. Somehow, the cat managed to avoid any injuries during the incident. Once the ambulance arrived, Sarah departed, leaving the scene clear and safe for other rescuers to arrive. A sense of admiration washed over Becker as he realized that the day had been full of challenges, but the apparent heroism of the cat was the final touch. He left them in silence. "You know," said Becker, still holding the cat in his arms, "I think this young cat more than deserves a place at the fire station." There was a murmur of agreement from the group. Chief Martinez, who had been observing the scene in silence, spoke up. I agree with Becker. It is a great idea. Becker nodded, a thoughtful expression on his face. He recalled how fearlessly the cat had acted around hazardous materials, leading them to the unnoticed victim, and how it had removed glass from the path of the ambulance. Inspiration struck him. Let's call him Hazzy, he announced, short for Hazmat, as a tribute to its courage in handling dangerous substances and a reminder of its incredible bravery. The suggestion was met with enthusiasm. Sarah reached out to gently stroke the cat's head. Welcome to our family, young one, she said gently, as they encountered an unexpected ally amidst chaos and tragedy. The small red cat's actions not only provided comfort, but potentially prevented further incidents. Becker, holding the cat, was quietly surprised by how heroes manifest themselves in unexpected ways. For his part, the cat simply purred contentedly in Becker's arms, unaware of the impact he had made or the new life awaiting him at the fire station. As the sun set, marking the conclusion of a trying day and the start of a partnership between dedicated rescuers and their remarkable hero, this extraordinary tale of a cat rushing to aid demonstrated what it truly means to be a hero. No one has ever witnessed such an event before. What could have inspired Hazzy to act with such bravery? And if you were in a similar position as a lifeguard, how would you react to having a cat as part of your team? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We will see you next issue.